I know the stated topic was joyous effort, but I know that the shooting in Connecticut yesterday is really weighing on people's minds and in people's hearts, and I thought really better to address that, and we'll get to joyous effort some other day. We've had plenty of talks about it, lots of chance to practice. And I also want to say, just for the BBC viewers and also for everybody here, that in August, Venerable Children, at the request of someone, did a series of Bodhisattva Breakfast Corner talks on how to work with our minds when dealing with the emotions that come up at the mass shootings. And those talks are dated August 7, 8, and 9, 2012. So they're good to look at and work with. And I don't, you know, Venerable has tremendous wisdom on this, so I don't know that I have a lot to add, except that I wanted to share an experience that I had. First of all, just to acknowledge that in the face of something so big, really, and this time it's children. I mean, that touches us in a whole different place. Bad enough that people are senselessly slaughtered anywhere, but to think about classrooms full of 5- and 6-year-olds who have this experience as their last moment, or school, the whole school full of kids who will live with this memory and have this to process for their whole lives. I mean, this is a terrifying thing to think about. I know for me, for some reason, the fact of this young man killing his mother with apparently guns that she bought, she was the owner of the guns, somehow that twisted piece of really touches me a lot, of a mother seeing as her last sight her precious baby boy with guns in his hands blowing her away. How can that, you know, what kind of image must that be as you're leaving, separating from your body? Horrific. And so I know that there's a lot of grief and a lot of sadness around in the United States today and around the world as people are contemplating this. And this is completely normal. You know, that kind of sadness arises. And Venerable Children addresses this, that, you know, that emotions that might come up are fear. This could happen to me, this could happen to my children, especially parents, you know, it would trigger that kind of thing. Certainly a tremendous sadness or grief. And anger, you know, anger at the system, anger at one young man. So it's very important as practitioners to acknowledge our feelings, really be present with them, not to shove them away, and also to use this to deepen our practice. And I think one of the most vivid things that comes to mind is to realize, again, as Venerable Children also addressed in her teaching, that this is a result of a mind uncontrolled by their afflictions. I mean, unsubdued, controlled by the afflictions, and uncontrolled mind, which we all have. To whatever degree we have practiced, it may be subdued somewhat, but we are all totally subject to our own karma and afflictions, and so in this way we're quite equal, even in the most horrific kinds of situations. Equal in our capacity to do such a thing, maybe not in this life, but in some life, and also equal in the potential to experience such a thing. And so this can really generate our compassion. It was 2004, I was attending teachings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Toronto. And it was just days after the Abu Ghraib prison photos had been released. And so it was another kind of horrific, certainly not on this scale, but it was revealed that American soldiers in Iraq were doing just some amazingly painful, I was going to say evil, amazingly negative actions in regards to political prisoners in Iraq, big abuses. And the teaching happened to be in Canada, So the Canadians were in the crowd that I was in. There were 24,000 people outside of the arena waiting to go in to see His Holiness. It was pouring down rain, and for some reason you couldn't get in. There was a big security issue. And people everywhere were talking about it, and we're talking about how bad the Americans were. So it was very vivid in my mind. And so we went in, and the place was packed. This huge, big city coliseum, right? And so at the end of the talk, and of course everyone was so responsive to His Holiness, and he took the questions as he always does at the end, and people wrote them on a piece of paper. And one of the questions was, how do we keep a balanced mind in the face of such negativity, when the world seems to be getting darker and darker and darker? And His Holiness looked at that question and he said, I don't agree. Said, I don't agree that the world is getting darker. And he proceeded to talk to us, 24,000 people, about the fact, said, right now, this very minute, around the world, children are being put to bed by their parents. Kindly, lovingly, gently. That's where we put our mind. Said, around the world, right this minute, people are caring for the elderly, either at home or in homes. The frail people who cannot take care for themselves are being cared for properly and well and with mindfulness and with kindness. He said, in hospitals everywhere in the world, professionals who care about the people that they're treating are taking care of people who are ill. They're getting the care that they need. And he just went on to talk about it. If we look at the kindness and not at the darkness, the kindness far, far, far outweighs the negativity. No matter how bad, how evil we think it is, how strong the pain, the kindness in the world outweighs the negativity. And he said, I talked to the Queen Mother about this. This was before she died. She was like 100 years old when she died or something. You know, the Queen Mother of Britain, right? He said, she agrees with me that actually the world is getting better. That in the course of her 100 years of life, what she has seen is that people around the planet are reaching out more. And people are reaching around the planet to reach out more because we have the resources to do that. So that indeed, His Holiness was saying the kindness is what we must always keep in mind as a measurement against the negativity that we see. The teaching was stunning to me because in a crowd of 24,000 people, the vibe, if you will, is strong. And it was dark when that question was asked. It was heavy. And the more he talked, the room got lighter. The Colosseum got lighter, not room. The Colosseum got lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until by the time he finished really leading this meditation on the kindness of others, 24,000 people's minds had been changed. So as practitioners, we have the capacity to do that every day. To some extent. You know, I think I bring it to mind often, and my skill is like, and His Holiness can take the room. His Holiness can take 24,000 people easy. But as we go about our days, as we interact with people, as we, console people who go into a personal distress around their fear or their sadness or their grief around this, trying to hold the bigger picture ourselves and being aware of the kindness of sentient beings is really a huge gift we can give. And then we can be a part of being of help, rather than getting swamped by our own personal distress, which really becomes an affliction. You know, the natural sadness arises, but then if we grab onto that and hang on to it, then we've got an afflicted mind too in that moment. And so taking that opportunity to really meditate on the kindness in the world and not letting this do anything but deepen our understanding about how powerful our ignorance is, how strong the enemy of our own afflictions is, and to deepen our determination to overcome this in our own mind. And we do this, I mean, we're so fortunate to have a way laid out for us. It's unbelievable. I hope those people have also, people who are suffering and grieving right now, losing their children. I can't imagine the pain of that. And I really hope they have a spiritual refuge that supports them, all of them. We're so fortunate that we have a place to turn. And so to apply those and then bring that awareness into every situation that we can is how we can really be of benefit. So watch Venerable Children's talks, they're really great. August 7, 8, and 9, 2012. And may we really dedicate our practice so that we can develop in ourselves the skill to be able to remove from ourselves and then for every being the afflicted mind that somehow sees this kind of act as a way of being, of relieving pain, whatever that motive was.